Well, a fine good evening, everyone. This is Patricia, and I am traveling for history. I have another book recommendation for you, and I think you're really going to like this book. I know I do, and I've used it, read it, and it's just really great material. Now, if you like ghost towns the way I do, then you will likely like this one too. And that is this book right here. I know I've got bookmarks. This is Ghost Towns of Arizona, written by, who are the authors? James E. and Barbara H. Sherman, and the maps are by Don Perseus, capital P-E-R-C-I-O-U-S. This is an oversized book, this one is an older book. So this was printed by the University of Oklahoma Press. It does have an ISBN number, which is nice. So the authors, just so you know, James E. Sherman is a consultant geologist in Tucson, Arizona. His wife, Barbara H. Sherman, is a graduate of the University of Arizona, pursuing their hobbies of travel, camping, and photography as they visited historical landmarks throughout the West, led them to write their book about Arizona ghost towns. Understand that a ghost town doesn't mean haunted, by the way. It just means that whatever reason the town started, whether that was agrarian, like farms, or a mining town, it just means that the reasons people moved there didn't work out. So perhaps the farmland was terrible or couldn't be farmed, didn't work, didn't produce crops. Mines perhaps didn't produce anything after a while, and, you know, people would move on. So that's all a ghost town really means. So you don't have to think haunted, though some supposedly are. It makes for interesting fodder. And I just love to go look at ghost towns. In fact, the last time I went looking at ghost towns was at the beginning of 2020. I returned home just before Valentine's Day, I think February 12th. And of course, in March, the whole world just stopped. So I'm going to read the back of the book to you and tell you some more about it. Quote, Ghost Towns of Arizona. Arizona's ghost towns exemplify man's courage, tenacity, and perhaps even foolishness in his search for wealth. Inevitable byproducts of the development of gold, silver, copper, and other mineral deposits in Arizona, some of these communities mushroomed overnight into a hodgepodge of tents and makeshift homes, while others developed over a period of years into tidy, well-planned town sites. Whatever their design, intent, or purpose, when their existence was no longer profitable, they slipped into the category of ghost towns. The search for Arizona ghost towns may take the traveler all the way from Paradise to Vulture City. Many are the tales he will hear of the bad old days and the good old times in such places as Goldfield, Gold Flat, Gold Road, and Gold Basin, or Tombstone, Tiger, Tip Top, and Total Wreck. Everyone who visits a ghost town wonders who built it and left it and why. But all too often, any information is extremely limited or is non-existent. The Shermans set out to assemble such facts about Arizona towns for themselves and became so engrossed in their project that they wound up writing this guidebook. Their brief, lively sketches distill the history of more than 130 of the one-time mining, milling, and Colorado River towns in the state. County, location, and post office dates are given for each town, along with brief histories and a wealth of photographs and maps. Finding ghost towns, the authors discovered, often involves searching for obscure sites in relatively inaccessible locations. Yes. In some places, the old roads have disappeared altogether and old landmarks have vanished. Yes, I agree with that too. Trails are often indistinct and sometimes entirely unmarked, thus foreseeing the inadequacy of modern highway maps for locating the ghost towns. The Shermans have included many specially drawn maps, and accurate township, range, and section coordinates place the towns at their correct locations. Using this information, today's quote-unquote explorer can locate the sites from standard base maps. A valuable and inspiring guide to the vacationer, this volume will delight the armchair adventurer. Armchair, I am sitting in one right now. As well, quote, this book is to be read for fun, unquote, say the authors. Technical information is kept to a minimum, and while facts and dates are given, space is allotted also to local tales and legends about the settlements. The Shermans have visited almost all the places described. And in fact, let me show you the back cover of this book. I think you can see that. It's funny because it reads backwards to me. Anyway, so the book is alphabetical. There is a table of contents in here which lists each of these towns alphabetically, which is fantastic. So then they're page numbered, all that good stuff. And they are brief. They really are brief histories or bits about these towns. For instance, on page 40, they give us two towns. Well, they give us Constellation, which is one, and then Contention City, which starts on that page and goes into the next page. But all the pictures are in black and white. And I should mention that my copy here is not a first edition. The copyright is 1969 by the University of Oklahoma Press. So I have so the second printing was 1970, third printing was 1971, and this is the fourth printing from 1972. Yeah, so, oh gosh, that's 50 years ago. 50 years ago. Well, I was a child back then, but wow, yeah. So, the upside of a book like this is the information it imparts, because even their maps and whatnot could be too old to be useful now. But other than that, it's it's a great read. So let me show you at least one of the pictures here, because I can explain a little bit about what it is, although it doesn't tell us. So let me just read this caption under the photograph for you. This is Constellation, circa 1912. Picture of the Monte Cristo mine when Ezra W. Thayer tried to promote the property, and it's courtesy the Charlotte Hall Museum, capital S-H-A-R-L-O-T, Charlotte Hall Museum. And this is the picture right here that I'm talking about. How do we know that's a mine? We know it's a mine from this right here. This is called a head frame. And a head frame is put over... Hey! Sorry about that. My cat was walking by, and I thought I was going to knock over this tripod here. That boy of mine. Anyway, so a head frame is put over the head of a vertical shaft. I think a lot of us, when we think of a mine shaft, we think of walking into it like this, right? But they're not all like that. Bodie, California, for instance, had, I think it was 28 mines. 27 of them were vertical shafts. So the top of a vertical shaft is called the head. And then that's why this partly gets its name as a head frame, because it's at the top, so at the head of the vertical shaft. And the rest of it is the frame, so a head frame. So you see this over something, you'd be thinking there's a mine underneath it. Just be careful if you're going to be there, because it can be very dangerous to be at the top of a mine. You just don't know how structurally sound and stable these things still are, regardless of the fact they were made from huge beams, huge beams. I've seen these in person, and and they're amazing, but they're also 100-something years old. So, anyway, head frames, that's how we know the mine is right there. Pretty nifty, eh? Let's see, what other, and that's on page 40 in this book. Well, here is Fairbank. Also, this book is Arizona, so this is Fairbank, Arizona, circa 1890, the courtesy of Arizona Pioneers Historical Society. And that's this one right here. I've been to Fairbank. That's a well-kept ghost town. The school is used as the store, for instance. It was a pretty interesting town. It was not a mining town. It served the railroad. And when the railroad pulled up tracks, well, there went that town. So this is a wonderful book. Really just a splendid, splendid book. Truly like this a lot. Gonna have to use more of it. And then to show you a place that I also had visited, I don't see the what do you call it? The ore bin, which I have on my channel in here. But so Washington Camp. There's not a ton of information about that out there, which is kind of sad, but we know that sometimes these ghost towns would sometimes pop up and go goodbye, pop up and goodbye. And if you heard me or remember me saying that something about tents, that's the way that usually worked. The miners, it'd be, you know, one or two people or whoever, however many, who'd be panning for gold. And let's say they found gold. And so they would go from, they would, you know, pitch tents. And then as more miners came in, because there's gold in them our hills, they would, as there was more gold or other precious metals found, they would eventually start to slap together buildings. And I mean slap together. Log cabins would become houses made from milled lumber. Perhaps as they continue to find more substantial loads, that they would build more substantial buildings, like ones of stone. It's an interesting progression in ghost towns. But Washington Camp, this is a picture from 1909 I'm about to show you. It's Washington Camp and Duquesne Reduction Plant on Washington Gulch, looking west. This is courtesy of the U.S. Geological Survey. And that's this picture right here. I didn't get to see the actual camp, but I saw an extraordinary ore bin on the side of the road. Middle of bloomin' nowhere. Bloomin' nowhere. And this magnificent ore bin. But this is Washington Camp. Now, as I understand it, at least in 2020, two couples purchased Washington Camp, and their goal is to restore the buildings. And as I understand it, they really don't like visitors. My friend and I didn't try to visit the town. We were just in awe of this ore bin. I mean, I was drooling. There were all sorts of rocks with turquoise embedded in them at the base of this thing. So it was really remarkable. But anyway, I'm recommending highly this book, even though it is woefully out of date. 50. I mean, my book is 50 years old. That revelation just. But again, Ghost Towns of Arizona by James E. and Barbara H. Sherman, with maps by Don Perseus. Excellent, excellent, excellent book. And who doesn't love zillions of photographs, right? Oops. You just, every page practically has another black and white photo. All right, so if you're enjoying my content, please subscribe to my channel. And then click on the notifications bell and you'll be notified each and every time I upload a brand spanking shiny new video just for you. And that's still every day of the week. I have, at this point, 324, 25 videos. Wow. Sometimes I upload 2 in a day. The max so far has been 4. That's an awful lot. Those other 3 were all weather-related videos, the severe thunderstorm stuff. To the 143 people who've already subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I truly appreciate it. I hope you're still enjoying the cemeteries and the National Register of Historic Places and the book and video recommendations that I am offering. The books, the videos about people too. Did you catch the one about the Captains Lewis and Philomene Daniels' house in Vergennes, Vermont? Philomene Daniels, who was the first female steamboat captain in the world. And that was 1887. I love stories like that. All right. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Facebook, Traveling for History. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm Traveling for Hi 1. That's Traveling for HI, and then there's a number 1. So I'm everywhere on social media. Yeehaw. Thank you for subscribing. And don't be on the fence. There's plenty of room. Plenty of room. Come join us. It's good. Comment as much as you want. I do answer them as much as I can. And yes, I do have this ring light now, which I'm trying to figure out how to position so it's not killing my eyeballs. But anyway, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And until I see you tomorrow, you have a great night. Thanks for watching.